Hey everybody, Joel Johnson here, Managing Director of Johnson Brunetti with another one of our segments on retirement and investment planning. Just to remind those of you that don't know or might be joining us for the first time, at Johnson Brunetti we are retirement and investment specialists. We work strictly with folks that are either already retired or that are concerned and planning towards retirement. And so we specialize, because we specialize in that group of people, we specialize in the type of concerns that they have, like running out of money before they die, like planning for nursing home expenses, like making sure that their estate gets passed on in the most efficient way possible and their kids don't blow through their money too quick. All of those types of concerns is what we deal with at Johnson Brunetti. Now today, we're going to be talking about IRAs and 401k's. For some of you, this is going to be basic stuff that you already know. But I think it's real important to go back to the basics from time to time because it gets us thinking about possible strategies of how to maximize our own IRAs and 401k's. So forgive me if you know all this in the beginning. I promise I'll give you some ideas by the end that you probably haven't thought of that could seriously impact the quality of your retirement. So let's start out with IRAs and 401k's. Obviously, as you know, or as you can imagine, the biggest retirement asset that most people have are their IRAs and 401k's. Now, if I ask people, well, what's the biggest asset you have? Sometimes they say their house. But you can't turn your house into income with the exception of a reverse mortgage. So let's just sort of set that aside for a minute, not talk about the house for a minute, and talk about what probably is your biggest asset that can create retirement income, which would be your IRAs and your 401k's. And we could also have 403b's, 457 plans, 401a's. I know about all those, but for simplicity's sake today, let's just talk about IRAs and 401k's. So first of all, IRAs and 401k's. What are the limits? How much money can I put into my IRA and my 401k? Well, with a traditional IRA, I can put in $5,500 per year, and if I'm over 50 years old, I can put in an extra $1,000. So again, if I'm under 50, $5,500 per year I can put in, and I get a tax deduction if my income isn't too high. Or if I'm over 50, I can put in $6,500 total, and again, I get a tax deduction if my income isn't too high and I don't participate in a qualified retirement plan like 401k. Now, let's talk about 401k limits. 401k limits are much higher because these are employer-sponsored retirement plans. So with a 401k, I can put in the year 2016, $18,000 pre-tax. I can actually put in $18,000, get a tax deduction to do it. There isn't an income qualification for me to get that $18,000. So where in the IRA, I may not get the tax deduction, in a 401k, I will get a tax deduction if I simply salary defer the $18,000. If I'm over 50, I get another $6,000 I can put in for a total, if I'm over 50, of $24,000 into the 401k. So you get the idea here that we get a tax break while we're working to put money into these savings tools, which really gives us leverage. Because if you think about it, let's pretend for a minute I have $3 of earnings when I'm young. $3 of earnings when I'm young, and I can take that and try to put it into my pocket, or I could take that $3 and put it into the 401k. Well, if I take the $3 and say, I don't want the money, don't pay me, Mr. Employer, put it in the 401k, all $3 goes into the 401k, gets invested, and grows. If I take the $3 and try to put it in my pocket, do I get all $3 in my pocket? Absolutely not. I have to pay some taxes. I might only get $2. I might only get $2.25. There's this part of that money that goes to the IRS from day one. So if instead of taking the money, trying to put it in my pocket and giving some of it to the IRS, instead if I put it into the 401k, what's happening is I'm earning money. I'm able to invest money and earn money on that money that would have gone to the IRS. It creates tremendous leverage. Yes, we have to pay taxes on it when we take it out, but you're getting the use of that money that would have gone to pay taxes. That's what makes it so powerful. Now, a little while back when I talked about the limits, some of you may have been thinking, well, wait a minute, Joel. I tried to get $18,000 into my 401k in a certain year, and they kicked some of the money back. Yes, I understand that. In rare exceptions, your employer won't allow you to get the $18,000 in because you're classified as a highly compensated individual or you're in a certain group under the 401k rules. So that's pretty rare if some of you have had that happen to you. But for the most part, most people can get that $18,000 into their 401k. Again, if you're over 50 an extra $6,000. Now let's stop for just a moment and talk about the ideal savings rate that you would have during your working years. What's that ideal savings rate? 15%. This is a rule of thumb. I know some of you hear that and you go, oh my goodness, how can I save 15%? But I promise you, if you start young and you can save 15% of your money pre-tax, remember, it's only going to cost you, if you would have tried to put that 15% in your pocket, remember, we talked about the taxes already. You wouldn't get to keep 15%, you might only get to keep 10 or 11 or 12%. So you're already getting some help. But if you can get to 15%, even with your company match, get to 15% of your money, you will be in a totally different position than almost everyone you know when you get to retirement. So the ideal is 15%. Now, if that seems overwhelming, there's no way you can do it, fine. But you know what you should do? And I've been doing this for 25 years, and I used to do experiments with folks. And the experiment was I'd be sitting down with Julie, let's say in December, and she'd go, it's open enrollment on my 401k. I can put more money in. I'm only putting 6% in, Joel. How much should I put in? And I'd say, Julie, put in 15%. I can't possibly do 15%. I'd say, Julie, well, you're putting in 6. We know the ideal is 15. Go to 10. I don't know if I can go to 10. I say, Julie, just go to 10. It's going to hurt for a little while. I promise if we're talking in June, you will not have missed the money. And I have never had somebody come back 6 months later and say, I missed the money, I got to take it down lower. So try it. Just push yourself a little bit. If you can't get to the 15, get to 10. Get to 12. Some of you have a 3% company match, so if you can just get to 10 and they're adding 3%, you're getting to 13% anyway. But that's the ideal amount of money that you want to be saving in your 401ks. So what have we talked about so far? IRAs, 401ks, putting money in, getting a tax break for getting in it, investing it in a good balanced account of mutual funds, having it grow for us tax deferred, and then being able to take out money slowly in retirement. Let's talk about a couple other little rules and things on 401ks. Never borrow out of your 401k. I don't care who says it. I don't care if it's Money Magazine, Kiplinger's, AARP. If they tell you about the tricks to borrowing out of your 401k, do not borrow out of your 401k. Some people have said, oh, you're borrowing out of your 401k and you're paying yourself interest. Can I be any clearer? Do not borrow out of your 401k, out of your 403b, out of a 457 plan. Don't borrow money, and you can out of some of those I mentioned. Don't borrow money out of any of those plans. A couple reasons for that. One is it just doesn't make sense. When you really do the math, it doesn't make sense. Secondly, that is a creditor-protected asset. If you go bankrupt and you go to the judge and you say, I've got all this debt and I can't pay it all I've got is this much money and I've got all this debt, the judge is going to sit there and look at your savings, maybe look at the equity in your house, but he'll probably forgive that, but he'll look at your savings, he'll look at things, and he's going to ignore what's in that 401k. It cannot be attached to your creditors. So even if you're in such desperate straits that you're about to go bankrupt, don't do it. Don't borrow out of the 401k. All right? Is that clear? Great. The other thing is, some of you have company stock in your 401k. This is a good thing because there are some special tax rules about company stock in your 401k. Now, if you get in front of the wrong financial advisor and they're greedy and they're acting in their self-interest and they just want to roll your money over and invest it because they get a fee or a commission on that, they're going to ignore the tax strategies with company stock. The other alternative is you get in front of the wrong financial advisor and they don't even know about some of these rules with company stock. If you have company stock in your 401k, in some cases handled properly, you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars in future taxes for your family by handling that company stock properly. If you get in front of the wrong advisor, they're going to blow it. It's a one-time opportunity you have. If you mess it up, it's gone forever. So make sure you're talking to a retirement and investment specialist when it comes to handling company stock in your retirement plan. So we've talked about IRAs, 401ks, building. I'm encouraging you to save if you're still working as much as you possibly can in the 401ks. Let's talk about one downside. Some of you out there are really good savers. You've either already gotten to retirement, maybe you're over a certain age, and or maybe you're younger, but you're going to find out, you've already found out, or some of you will find out someday that you don't need all the money you've saved in those retirement plans. There's a certain age where you get a special birthday present from the IRS, and that's age 70 and a half. Age 70 and a half is the age where the IRS is going to force you to start taking money out of your retirement plans. They add up all the money in all your different plans, whether you have 10 IRAs and 401k's or just one big account, and whatever that totals up to, they force you to start taking money out of those plans. People say, well, Joel, I don't want to take the money out. I just assume leave it there. I don't need the money. We know you don't need the money, and the IRS knows you don't need the money, but they also know that there's a whole lot of money in there that hasn't been taxed. It's never been taxed because you got a tax break for putting it in. They want you to have to take some of it out. And every year, once you turn 70 and a half, you have to start taking money out. Now, that's the bad news. Here's the good news. If you handle this properly, you can leverage that IRA, especially if you don't need that money in your retirement. You can leverage that IRA for people that you love or organizations that you care about. So if this is your problem, if you've gotten to that age or you think you're going to get to that age and you've saved more than you needed to, we can definitely help you come up with some strategies to leverage that money. The mistake most people make, they get to 70 and a half or they know that age is coming, they just sit back and they're just victims of the IRS's rules. You lose flexibility and you lose control once you turn 70 and a half. Don't let that happen to you. You can come out with certain strategies and we can help you with that so that you leverage that money that you will never need. Maybe multiply it by 2 and 3 times. Maybe turn it into a tax-free stream of income for your kids and grandkids that could last 40 or 50 years. Hey, it's been fun to be with you today. Thanks for listening about IRAs and 401k's. If there are any direct questions you have, please email us or call us at 1-800-208-7233. That's 1-800-208-SAFE. We'll be glad to answer all of your questions. This is Joel Johnson, Managing Director of Johnson Brunetti.